to the Making Up the Numbers podcast. The Making Up the Numbers podcast is sponsored by Hope Technology, J-Tech Suspension, Revolution Bike Park, Ride Southern Spain, Schwal, and the world's finest independent mountain bike magazine, Singletrack.
Season 6, Episode 7, and the 2024 off-season has well and truly kicked in. In this episode, we're going to chat about Mont Saint-Anne, the changes for next season, and do some team rumours. Then in part 2, we'll be joined by the GO.A.T, Greg Minnaar, for a chat about his final race season and the future, and of course, to play retirement 20 questions. Right, let's get cracking. Jack, you've been a busy boy getting the racing centre ready out in Portugal. Tell us a bit about it.
Yeah, mate, very busy. We go out on Monday for the first camp or the first racing centre camp that we'll ever do. So, yeah, I mean, there's sayings, isn't there? Like, there's method in the madness and hard work pays off and all that stuff. And I'm just hoping now that that is the case. It's just been absolutely bonkers for the last few months trying to get everything ready. I left on Saturday after doing another 5 days from 7 a.m. till midnight, trying to kind of do the finishing touches from my side, like the decorating and putting all the furniture up and just getting everything right, getting the workshop ready. And the guys doing the plumbing and the electrics rounded out their stuff. And then it's just been a case of leaving a staff member there who's finishing the tiling. And I don't think Diogo probably listens to this, but shout out to Diogo, who's literally just worked himself to the bone for the last couple of months trying to help us get this ready. So, yeah, it's been tough, but as a result, we're going to be able to run some amazing camps now. The one we've got next week, we'll actually run 2 of our own independent races. So in the past, we've always just run live timing, whereas now we will actually operate a race structure, like a regional race. So on the Tuesday, they'll practice. On the Wednesday, they'll be given the opportunity to do 2 timed runs in the afternoon. And then we will have podiums. We've got some awesome prizes to give out. Shout out to all of my sponsors who've really come up trumps there. So the riders on the camp are going to be winning better prizes than they would get at pretty much any race series in the UK. And then we'll do the same again on Friday and Saturday on our second track. And then on Saturday, we'll have a big party, bonfire and podium ceremony. And we're going to have some people who are involved locally coming up to join us. So yeah, it's, fingers crossed it's going to all work. I am nervous as well as excited. And I'm extremely tired. But yeah, I finished work at lunch today and I've got 3.5 days to try and recharge, turn my brain kind of off and on again, bit of a system reboot to be ready to do my job properly next week and make sure the guys have an awesome time. So yeah.
Cool. That sounds great. How many riders have you got going out?
So we've got 8 what I call clients coming out. And then there's myself and Ruben being staff who are on the bikes, and then Oscar as well, Oscar is one of our junior riders this year who's moving up to the senior categories next year. He's going to move into a little bit of an understudy role for Ruben on these camps now so that he can help Ruben, because as we get busier we need more people doing different jobs. So he'll be there riding, but he'll also be helping out as staff as well. And then we've got 2 drivers and my old man on site in case we have any problems with the house, and then my business partner out there, Mark from Trail Tools, on site to kind of do trail maintenance and just generally help where he can. So there's it's either 15 or 16 of us in total with Mark. And yeah, it's going to be sick.
Wicked. So good season for you and the Gravity School team? Yeah,
overall for sure. 10 riders on the team, and we're keeping 8. So I think 80% turnover in the team that size is pretty good. And we've had some really solid results. I won the Portugal Cup Series. Nuno came second in Elite. Andy won the under-23 category in that series. Ruben was 3rd in that category. We've had loads of podiums. Tom Westgate won in Winterberg. Seb Sumner got a podium at National Champs in youth. So yeah, overall, I am really, really happy. Everyone's done well. It's been a bit of a learning curve. Obviously, first time for me not being focused on myself and World Cups and being more focused on the team. So there's things I want to change next year, and we're working with our sponsors to try and do that and make the program even better. And I do believe we are going to be able to do that, even though it's incredibly tough to know what's happening right now, because all of these delays from the World Cup uncertainty are filtering down to the sponsors and then obviously to teams our size. So we've secured some of our major partners with Raw, Schwalbe, and SS Hunter are all good to go, but still waiting to confirm a couple of other major ones. And once we do that, we'll be able to get riders signing contracts and bring in some riders. We've hopefully going to have some new riders joining who are really fast and have won some stuff this year. So yeah, it's good. It's exciting.
Cool, that's wicked. And how many camps have you got running between now and the end of the year? Is it something anyone can book on, or is it?
Yeah, they're absolutely something anyone can book on. And one of the main reasons I've bought the house, which we're calling the racing centre, is so that we can organise different kinds of things. And this week is obviously very much going to be run around the young guys who want to win World Cups one day. So we're going to take them out there and teach them how to race and try and help them with that in every way we can. But we will also get groups giving us a call who just want to come out on a riding holiday. And that's the environment where the beer fridge will be full. We'll go-karting. We won't be doing timing. We'll be doing fun laps. And we can literally, well, now we've got what we've got there, we can make riding holidays for literally whatever people want. So yeah, we've only got one before the new year. And then we'll be running from January. We're going to have a camp there with the team to do a little bit of track work, a little bit more work on the house. And then from end of January, we just kind of open for business. So anybody can contact us and we will tailor make pretty much anything goes. Any kind of request people have got, we will do our best to meet it. So
excellent. Sounds great. Best of luck with that.
Thanks, mate.
Emmy, it's all calmed down a bit now. Did you have a good holiday?
Yeah. So we went to Montana, obviously, and from there it was kind of easy to go to the US for like a bit more than a week. Cam had go to the concussion center there, and she made some very, very good progress. She had not much symptoms, so obviously it was like more little things that she could improve with her eyes and vestibular system that they worked on. And yeah, we made it through our first hurricane.
Yeah, I was going to say, were you out there when that was
Florida? There? Yeah. Luckily, kind of like he was like level 5 for a bit. So obviously on TV, it's like crazy, like everybody's like, oh my God, like we're going to die. And then we just noticed like a lot of people from the coast came we were in Orlando, so more inland, to our hotel to just stay there with like people had their clothes, food, like toilet paper. They took everything with them in the hotel. And we were like, wow, this is a big deal. And we had a couple bottled waters only. So we're like, maybe we were a little bit unprepared, but the hurricane came through the night. So yeah, you don't really sleep well because it's like really loud and windy, but like the damage was lucky, like not as bad as for the previous one, Eileen. And yeah, they had some overflowing or flooding on the coast, but not that much casualties. But yeah, it's still like something as Swiss people, we never experienced that ever before. So we're like, how's it gonna be like? But otherwise, yeah, weather was great, and it was like really warm water on the coast, and it was nice to just relax a little bit. It's still America, so we're kind of glad to come home in the end, because it's still kind of special for like a holiday destination. But no, happy to be home. Yeah.
Did you go to the theme parks or
not? So it was kind of like hard because it was closed because of the hurricane for a while.
Okay. Yeah.
So they closed for multiple days, and then we didn't want to go on the weekend when they reopened, because we were like, oh my God, this is gonna be like so crazy. And then on the Monday was the day before we left, and we were staying kind of like a bit far from it.
Yeah.
And it's still like pretty expensive. Like a Walt Disney Park would be like $350 or something per person.
Yeah.
And Cam was like, I was like, do you want to go? Because we didn't know if she could, after the therapy, do all this, like the roller coasters and stuff. So we're like, in the end, we didn't go.
Fair.
How are you guys? How are you guys with like roller coasters and stuff? Because there's no way on God's earth I'm going on them. I'll throw myself down.
No way, really?
Yeah, I'll throw myself down the side of a mountain because I'm in control of that bike, but I don't like the...
No, I'm fine. Like, it's funny, like I was just about to say to Emmy when she said about the price of it, I was going to say, you don't need to tell me, because Sarah's mad for that shit. So we had our honeymoon there. So we did 10 days.
Oh, really?
10 days in Orlando, and it was over Halloween. So like we did all the daytime stuff, and then we were going back at night to do the scare
Yeah,
fest.
they
And
have the horror nights. They had the
yeah,
horror
they're
nights while we were there.
so good, and I hate queuing. So then we're fast tracking, and but no, George, I'm fine with it. Like the
Yeah.
only thing I'm scared of is bridges, and that's because when I was 19, I bungee jumped. And I was a little bit hungover when I bungee jumped, and I hadn't even planned to go. I just like bumped into one of my mates in the morning in Whistler and ended up going. And ever since doing that, which I hated at the time, I'm funny with bridges. Like everything else, I'm sound with. Funny.
You all right with roller coasters?
It depends what kind. Like the gnarlier ones, like the fast ones, I'm kind of okay with, because it's like fast and like you going forward and you kind of like can see in front of your eyes.
Yeah.
But the kind of like rotating ones, like where you're like typical Disney cup of tea, kind of like rotating on yourself and like on another axis, I'm like really bad with. Like I get real dizzy. So yeah. So that's that's why I'm like, not sure if
I was
I'm
a little
gonna be
bit
enjoying
cocky
that.
there actually. That the ones that go straight up and then have you just
Yeah,
stay
like a
really
seat.
high. Nah, I'll do them. But the one at Blackpool where you just go woof, and then you just hanging out up there. I don't like that. I'll do it for banter, but it's not my choice. It's terrifying.
Right, best get back to bikes. How's Cammy doing? How's the brain?
Good. The brain is good. She's had some exercise, like kind of like rehab plan, and I think she's making great progress. She doesn't have headaches anymore.
Yeah.
And she just have to deal with fatigues when she like starts training again, but it's like way better than it used to. And like she's back into training now. And with her hand, it's the thumb that is a little bit annoying. So they're trying different things with like ergotherapist for like some kind of custom little brace she can have when she's riding, because she's been rolling on like a fire road, but like her thumb, when it's like pressing on the handlebars like this, it just hurts her a lot. So this is still the thing that when she needs to deal with right now, but everything else is basically back to normal, so that's pretty good.
Cool. And can you still ride out there, or is it snow season
Oh
now?
yeah. No, I've been riding yesterday we have like training with the kids, like about 10 to 13, 14, like it's called Race Academy for the kids that do some little races. And I was out yesterday. It's perfectly fine, like even in shorts and jacket, but it's just kind of wet, slippery. But other than that, it's fine.
And did they kick your ass?
Nah. Nah, they're still pretty young, like, and there is a couple of fast kids, but these ones are pretty young still, and they're still learning a lot, which is
what age is the tipping? What age is the tipping point? At what age did he get to, and you go, yeah, that's that then?
Depends on the riders. I mean, for the other junior guy that is fast here, that the vice Swiss champion Marius, he was faster than me when he was like 13, 14, but he was already quite tall.
Yeah.
And some of the kids there are really small, so that's for them, they have like 26, 24 inch. That's impossible with these bikes to like, but yeah, some of them are pretty fast. So it's cool to watch them progress.
Emmy, you should bring them down to the racing centre this winter for a camp when you can't ride at home anymore. Bring them down to Portugal.
Yeah. I mean, I'm considering my own athlete, like Marius maybe. But like the other ones, they have school and I don't think they're that far yet, like in competitiveness. But yeah, definitely there's a few around that could be interested in that.
Cool.
For sure.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the last round of the World Cup in Mont Saint Anne. What a way for Aaron, Troy's mechanic, to bow out after a decade on the circuit, and for Troy to announce the birth of his baby daughter. Last man down the hill, and he put it together. Did you think he'd do it, Emmy?
Not in front, like before the weekend. I would think maybe it could go either way. Like you could be like completely like relaxed, relieved, and ride free, or you can be completely exhausted, like, and not really at it, So I was more thinking maybe it was gonna be a little too much, but then like when he started performing, like he performed, he's someone that I would say, like Aaron did in the past, could ride in that type of terrain in the wet, like in the dry.
Yeah.
And as Cole was someone else that kind of like showed that it was possible. It was like, I think anyone could do it towards the end, but Joy had this like all or nothing attitude sometimes, especially when he's not like competing for the overall. Like sometimes he had that pressure of delivering points. Yeah, it was pretty amazing to see that he pulled it off after such a big life changing experience with having his baby.
Lackey's run though in the worst of the weather.
Mm.
I thought he'd done enough. I thought he'd won his first World Cup. I didn't think Troy would be able to do it. I thought it was the weather had changed that much. I thought
it was so close. He basically didn't he? Like
it's closest first World Cup of the season.
Yeah.
But I would argue with that, because at the race, I don't know if you could watch the screen, if you could actually see it, but I reckon Troy had worse conditions because when Troy started, it was like in the open, it was raining so much. Like it's literally pouring down. And with vision and stuff, you could see some people were struggling to pull tear-offs on this track.
Yeah.
And Lockie rode the open stuff like Stevie Smith, and then the whole part before the rock garden so fast in practice, and he did it in the race as well. So there I thought, maybe it won't be enough, but Troy did a better rock garden and risk a little bit more, and that's where he got it. But yeah, what was it, 0.06 or something?
Yeah, it's the closest World Cup of the season, I think. Yeah.
It is pretty crazy on this track.
Laurie laid down a fantastic run, which put him in third. Great to see Laurie back on the box, Jack, after all his health troubles.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've been talking to Laurie and talking about Laurie to people recently with the subject of what's going to happen, because I've talked about it a bit, where I think we're going to start seeing some incredibly short careers in downhill, where riders get into their kind of late 20s and just all of a sudden fade away for whatever reason because of how brutal they're making it. And he's just seemed quite uninterested this year from the outside. I've not spoke to him personally. So yeah, awesome to see him back in there. I'm a big fan of Laurie and he's a good lad. And it was really nice to load up the results to watch the last 5 on the live time in that day and see him sat there. It was like, oh, thank goodness for that, finally. So yeah, I was pleased.
In elite women, Valley had a good go at the top, then played it safe and finished third. Nina went over the top of the first berm. Miriam washed out on a flat corner. Tani held on to it as the bike went offline in the rock garden, which was incredibly impressive. But Marine Cabarrou took the win with an incredibly impressive run, super smooth. I think we might be chatting about her in the Team Rumours section in a bit. Emmy, great to see Gracie Hemstreet back on the box in second after a difficult season injury-wise as well.
Yeah, I don't think she's ever been on the box in the elite though.
Had she not?
No, I don't think so. I think it was her first elite podium straight into second, because she did win the juniors and she was like top 3 in qualifying and like Val di Sole and some of the harder tracks, but I don't think she ever podium. I think it was just that podium 2 or 3 times, but I don't think Gracie podiumed. So yeah, it was. So when you're trackside, you kind of see stuff, and the way Marine was riding, I was really surprised she didn't do better earlier, but then she delivered on the final run because she was like 6th or 5th, or not really great, but the way she was riding in practice, I was like, oh, there, she's there. And Gracie was like, she was a bit more than enough. Like the rock garden in the wet was like hard for a lot of people, even junior men. In the morning was struggling a lot to like make it through, even like without sliding offline and getting stuck. Yeah, because it's so brutal in there. If you mess up a little bit your entry or whatever, you're just gonna get bumped into a big rock and get a like OTB or something. And yeah, Gracie, I think I helped her walk her bike maybe 3 times in the morning of the race because she wanted to get through the left line. Some people went back to the inside like Valley and stuff because it was easier, and she wanted to do that left line, and she did it in the race, not perfectly, but she did it. And then yeah, she was like second in the race, and for a bit we're like, oh, maybe she's gonna win, if Marine throws it away. So she's still very, very young, and she had a really horrible season and also last year with injuries and stuff. So she was pumped for sure.
Cool. The only two categories left undecided were the junior ones. In the women's, Ellie Hulsbosch ruptured a pancreas at the IXS the week before at Mont Saint Anne, which left Heather Wilson and Iris van Leuven to battle it out. Healing vibes to Ellie, by the way. Heather couldn't hold it together with multiple crashes on a run, and Iris took the win from Sasha Ernest with Cale Cushman in third. That's 2 world champs and 2 World Cup overalls for Iris, which is incredibly impressive. What do you think would be a good first elite season for her, Emmy? Will she win a World Cup in elite?
Oof, that's a big ask. She could. I mean, she keeps riding that way.
Yeah.
But we all seen that, especially in the women's, like the pressure of the first year elites is like a bit different. For the guys, it's more like, oh yeah, you do whatever, like you don't need to win straight away, like no pressure. And for the ladies, it's almost the reverse. Like people get so much pressure to actually like, oh, I need to like be there. I need to like I had better time. So, I don't know why it is that way, but we've seen that with Vali, we've seen that with Anna, we've seen that with Millie. Like sometimes they struggle on the first year. Even Vali, who was incredibly fast. So I think if she already like now podium is obviously not going to be top 5 anymore, but if she get top 5 and close to top 3, it will be already like an incredible achievement. More so, I think she needs to do a more consistent season, because even though she won the overall, like she crashed in Mont Saint Anne, and because other people crashed, she still took the title, and also because Ellie wasn't there.
Yep.
But like for her to like lay down constant runs, she already progressed on that from last year, but if she keeps that progress going, she could be a contender for top 5 overall as well, because she has the speed on every type of track.
Yeah, before we started recording this, I thought to myself, yeah, she could win a World Cup next year. But now Gracie's only been on the box once, so I'm thinking, maybe not. But top 5.
I mean, she's someone that I would rather like see a race, because she's like really some kind of like full-on rider that when she feels it, she will like go full gas. And in endurance, that's what she did on a track that you need to like go to your limits.
Yeah.
And on these type of track, I think she could do it. But with her, sometimes she crashes before the race. Like she has big ones, and then it just like takes a little bit away. In the junior, it doesn't take the win away, but in the elite, it will definitely take the win away if you have a big crash before your race and ride a little bit within your limits. So I guess we shall see. But the thing is with Iris, I think she wants to do multiple things. Like she's so good at whipping. She loves like crank works. And I think for her as a young rider, I would think it would be a mistake to like focus on the World Cup like on the first year. Being on the team that she's on, Lizor, it's like a decent team, but they're not factory teams. So to continue to do everything or like a bit more stuff that she enjoys, I think it will be, like you said, Jack, you want to see longer careers, and for that you need to also have fun riding your bike and not only like put so much pressure on yourself. So I think she's in the right environment with Cecile to do this type of choices.
In the men's, Asa Vermette pulled out in the week with a compression fracture of his T6 after his crash in Ludenville. Again, healing vibes to him, which effectively handed Max Alran the title. He didn't hold back though, posting the fastest time of the day to take the win. The junior men were wild, though, Emmy.
Oh my God! Like I was in the rock garden. Maybe you guys saw me on the live stream. Yeah. We were there with like Baptiste Perron, Antoine Vidal, and we were prepared to see some big crashes, and we did see some big crashes. But yeah, even Aran was like coming in there, slid the front, like, or like what the hell? It was cool to see the race like from the inside, because usually I'm in the finish.
Yeah.
And also the junior women were crazy, but the junior level is insane. So it was pretty cool to be there.
Did you see Max's scrub on that bottom hip if you're in
Of
the
course,
rock
like
garden.
he scrubs like every possible jump in practice as well. Like it's so incredible to watch what he does on the bike. And I think this year we've seen a lot more of teams comparing his time, like like with video comparison and timing, his riding to elites than ever before, even when Jackson was a junior, because he's riding fast in practice too. So that's crazy.
Have you seen it, Jack? Have you seen how smooth it is?
Yeah.
Is that innate or is that taught?
Both. They're just starting from such a young age that like their brains can learn, or children's brains can learn so well. It's like the other week I was coaching a lad and his dad, and I just have to coach the dad so differently to the youngster, because the youngster will learn something in 45 minutes and you'll see a change, and then you can then move to the next level. Well, the dad might take 2 months before he shows me some progression.
Oh, I have one session with you a year, Jack, and it takes me all that time to take it in.
But yeah, it's an interesting question, even because they're twins, right? Teal and Max Allen are twins, so basically they have the same DNA, the same genes, and everything. But they're not so like this time. They're harder to like set apart because they're riding. Teal is sometimes riding a bit within his limit this year, but I reckon before he was the faster twin, so maybe next year. But you're gonna be seeing a change and a switch. We'll see, because it's crazy.
Shows how the environment can affect it. Obviously, as you just said, he's had the injury, which has affected his mindset. So the same base settings might be in the DNA, but the external factors will then play a part. Yeah,
because that's what I'm sure. Like, I remember having a conversation with one of the Ruffin brothers in Fort William, and it was when he'd said he'd done that for whatever time it was, 4:35 on his 5th ever run. And I'm sure he was talking about Till. I don't think he was talking about Max. Because I remember, so I was just thinking Till was the faster brother, but it seems to have switched. So the rule book for 2025 has been issued, and Warner Brothers Discovery got nearly everything through that they wanted, including 3 rider podiums, which is disappointing. It seems that the direction of the sport is now being shaped mainly by surveys of what the general public, who aren't necessarily into mountain biking, want. Because 5 riders on a podium is confusing, but who are we to judge? We're just the diehard fans. The only thing they didn't get through was riders having a colour. I think a few of the teams weren't into that. Anyway, one of the things that's already started to change is the importance of the team. Downhill has always been an individual sport, but now if you want to race World Cups, you really need to be on a team. And there are only 15 World Cup Series teams. And this is where it starts to get really confusing, because at the moment, the riders carry the points, and those 15 spots will be decided by the teams with the most points. Not now, but when the teams register at the start of the season. Obviously, there's riders that can come and go from teams. So let's say someone like Anna Newkirk, who's had a great season with 794 points, she's going to be incredibly valuable. If everything stayed as it was, and we look at the final standings for 2024, teams, first place was Commensal Muckhoff, then Specialized Gravity, Canyon, Mondraker in 4th, YT Mob in 5th, Dorval in 6th, Continental Atherton, Trek, Giant Pivot, Scott, FMD, Santa Cruz Syndicate, Frameworks, and Madison Saracen. That's the top 15. Of those 15, Dorval and Madison are no more. And we think, where have I left that in there? Of those 15, Dorval and Madison are no more. And that means the next 2 that come in would be the Union. I'm not sure if the Union will be able to continue if they lose Blackie and Eliana, though. 17th, Continental GT, who I think might be folding too. 18th, we have the Gravity Cartel. Not sure if they'll be able to continue. 19th, Norco. So they would probably come in. 20th, Commensal IC Studio. Don't think they're continuing. And 21st, Canyon Pirelli. Not sure if they're continuing. Did they become a development team for Canyon? Any info on that? Anyone? Any on that? No. What I've just said? Any? No.
Then no, sorry. I know nothing. And that is true.
You what, sorry?
I said I know nothing, and that is true.
Then there are 5 wildcard team spots, and there's a lot of teams, I imagine, chasing those. But if I had to pick 5 now, those would be Cobham-Cell Les Ors, Yeti, Cube, Goodman Santa Cruz, and probably MS Intense. But then where does that fit with Gamex, with Reeves Wilson and Heather Wilson, an outside sponsorship, or Gwyn Racing? Could 5-time champion Aaron Gwyn not be able to race World Cups next year unless he gets on another team? And teams that miss out, Transition, Muck-Off Young Guns, Intense Factory Racing, NSUR, Propane. So, and here's where it gets really interesting, and like lots of things we see with Warner Brothers Discovery, it doesn't appear to have been thought through completely, because the points are based on gravity teams, we think. And gravity includes Enduro. Or does it? No one seems to know. If you add Enduro, is any of this wrong, Emily?
It's not wrong. It just doesn't make sense when you say it.
Imagine trying to write it all. I've been like scratching my head so much. But if you add Enduro points onto these teams, Yeti would probably become a top 10 team. And you guys, Pivot, you're going to go flying up.
Because we've Morgan. So it's just like, it's crazy. And because Enduro doesn't have UCI points.
No.
It's not even quite fair, because then not all their races count. Just if they take the points of Enduro, they're going to take World Champs and World Series and maybe National Champs. But for UCI points, you can just go do races now if you want to until December to get some points, But like the Enduro riders, and we don't even know how much they will count. But obviously someone like Yeti, Ricci doesn't have a lot of UCI points in downhill. He has like 200 or something like that, but he has like 1,000 something if you like put his enduro results into UCI points. But like, and like nobody knows, and it's not in the UCI rule book. That's what's crazy. Like, we've waited so long for that rule book, and it doesn't say what the teams are supposed to do and who they're supposed to hire. Obviously, now what's happening, a lot of teams are going to hire female top 10 riders.
Yeah.
And they will all find a spot probably, because the female top 10 riders have, like you said, from let's say 600-700 points, those to Marine that has 1,300 points. Imagine that. Available to someone for low cost. Maybe not Marine, but like the other for low cost, and like any male that has not even 200 points. So that's what's happening right now. And that's why it's almost impossible to say who is going to be in the top 15. Because if someone like Intense Factory Racing hires another female beside Lou, that's Prey, they're going to jump on and go into the top 15 easy.
Yeah.
So that's like...
good. It's good in some ways then, isn't it? It's promoting.
Yeah. But like, this is also what probably Warner Brothers want. It's just like a little bit of drama. Who's making the cut, like, and it's fine from the outside for the fans, but like for people that actually have jobs, it's not that fun, because you don't still want to know if you're gonna have a job next week.
You've got to turn the electric off or not.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a bit mad, isn't it, that in 2025, Specialized, one of the biggest bike brands in the world, don't have any female downhill riders.
I was just thinking while you guys were talking, I was like, surely they're going to bring
But they have enough points even.
But just
with two riders.
As a brand,
like, surprising.
Yeah, and they don't have an enduro team as well. They're folding everything. So
and Giants,
because they've just got so much money, like they could just do it all and not even notice.
Yeah,
crazy.
And Giants, the world's biggest bike manufacturer, aren't they? They don't have any women either.
They don't want any female, because they don't want women riding on Giant bikes. They want them on Liv bike, but then Liv doesn't have a downhill bike, so it's like going in a circle.
Liv sticker on the Glory.
But like, I know for a fact that
mad, isn't it?
The people running the team want a female, but they're not allowed to have one.
Yeah.
Whoa.
That's how some dickhead.
But they might regret that. They might literally regret that. But obviously, Giant is one of the biggest manufacturer in the world, so they will get a wild card, whatever happens, probably.
Yeah.
But like, it's not that easy.
So, is there any idea when this is going to be confirmed about these enduro riders and the points? And
we're still waiting. Everybody's still waiting.
And when's the date when the teams have to be registered? Because I think is that
December.
15th of January.
No, it's December. December, because they're gonna make the cut of UCI points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they I've heard you have to like pre-register in December. So it's like it's soon.
How can you decide if you don't know what points riders have got, and you got to get in the top 15? You
do have to wonder. You do have to wonder if like the whole strategy they have is to cull, isn't it? They've got a couple of Arctics and they're just running them through the system, trying to run everybody over, apart from the guys at the top. That is what they're doing. We all know that. And you do have to wonder if this stalling, because it doesn't affect Specialist, it doesn't affect Syndicate, it doesn't affect the guys who they really care about being in their big show. Whereas, as we just said, like, how do you plan for a deadline in December when at the end of October you don't know what's going on? Well, maybe that's part of the strategy. Make it as difficult as possible, people to navigate the landscape that they're given, so that when it comes to December, we're like, shit, we could have done that. If you'd just given us another 3 or 4 weeks notice, we would have been okay there. Whereas now we can't do that now. So you do have to wonder if it is all part of a grand plan, because they will have the people in offices able to organize this and do the numbers and do the maths. They will have that. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to run the show at all. So yeah, I'm not a conspiracy person, but at the same time, I do look in at this and think, is there a larger plan going on here?
And 2 people have asked me, Jack, did that document really get leaked, or did Warner Brothers send it to you?
There you go.
No, but I'm not too sure about that, because, obviously, there is. I don't think maybe they haven't thought it through, because, otherwise these changes happen so rapidly. It's crazy, so rapidly, and then. I remember, I think it was Martin Wadley talking to me and saying how, okay, I have Asaf Ahmed in my team, and he's obviously one of the biggest prospects for the future. But if I don't hire other people, he might not be able to race, depending on how many UCI teams. Now he has enough, even as a normal athlete, he's in the top 100 easy of the UCI. But if he wasn't, he might not be able to be on a team to race against the others. And he was telling that to Chris Ball, and Chris Ball was like, oh, I haven't thought about that. It was like mid-season, and you're like, okay. So I'm not sure.
But the thing is, Asa would still be able to race because he would be given one of the national
because
jerseys.
they added all the criteria. But you still need to be on the team to have like the same chances as Max Alran or Till Aran, who are on the best factory team out there. They have people on the track everywhere, and Asa doesn't. He has Nico or someone, but if he doesn't have a team, he has no one next to the track. It will be harder, So it's just like, I reckon there's a lot of like underlying issues coming from all these changes that are sometimes good, sometimes less good, and as you just need to peel them off one by one, and then you come up with like all these problems, and that we like people in the industry we're like, oh, what about this? What about this? And it's hard to have 10 people from, I don't know how many there are in the staff to answer all these questions.
I don't disagree with anything you've said, but I can still circle back to my point of that none of these problems affect the huge teams.
What about Cube though? Is Cube a huge team for you?
No. They might be a rich team, and they might be a big mountain bike team, but they're not. I don't load up live timing. No offense to my friends on Cube, but I don't load up live timing to watch the guys on Cube. I watch Loic, I watch Amory, Miriam, Cam, and you know what I mean? They don't give a fuck about anybody underneath the huge players. that is what is apparent. Like over the last 18 months or however long we can call it since they've been coming in and trying to implementing these big changes, it is clear that they just don't care. They will do what they want. There's been no compromise, has there? Like you know that from trying to run the union. There's been no compromise. So
big emphasis on trying.
Exactly, because they're not playing ball. They're just taking your ball and going, "Oh, fuck that," and throwing it somewhere else. Like, so yeah, it's yeah. I mean, my point's always been the same. Like, I agree that there did need to be change, but they're changing from the top down. They're not changing from the ground up. They could have put in all of the foundations first, so that then everybody had somewhere to go and there was a healthy environment at all levels within the sport, whereas all they're trying to do is just create what they want at the top and then just something will happen underneath, whatever.
We're still need to see what's happening with that Continental Series, because it's not even, I've heard first that IXS didn't want to do it, the European one, but now they might not have a choice because I don't know what else, if there is one.
Well, it said in the document
also something.
Sorry, Karen.
No, we're still unsure of if there is gonna be a Continental Series or not, or is this gonna be a qualifier or not.
Well, what it said in the document was that it would be select events that would be part of the Continental Series. So say, for example, the IXS European Cup is 7 rounds. They might say that 2 races in 2025 are the Continental Series. Like,
because it doesn't make sense to have them at the end of the year, for example. Yeah, I know what you mean.
No. So that once again, they've just vaguely written it in there so that then they can do whatever they want.
Yes.
Enduro, then. I started writing an episode called "What the Fuck's Happening with Enduro." That was the working title of it, right? And it's such a big thing that it started taking me. I had to park it for a little bit. I'm going to try and do it in the off season, but it was so vast to try and work it all out. Are there any Enduro teams left? I'm hearing rumours that the world champion Alex Rudeau doesn't even have a team for next season and won't be doing the full series.
But Commencal is not doing an Enduro team anymore. Commencal is folding an Enduro team, so Yeti is continuing, that I know. I don't know what's happening with others, to be fair. What about Rocky Mountain? Like, no idea. No, Specialized is not doing one. Maybe Cannondale is continuing Trek.
It's really sad, and it probably potentially illustrates how much Warner Brothers are controlling ESO, because obviously Chris and ESO have run the EWS for years and depended on enduro racing to run their race series, to earn their livings and buy their houses and pay for their food. And now they're just going, fuck, we don't want that anymore. And it probably just shows that they're being told by people up there, no, the viewers won't care about that. Don't do that. Because I'm sure Chris would probably want to keep enduro going, like he's been running it forever, and but it's probably just not a choice. They're just told, nope, that's good stuff.
Do you think the EWS is kind of marketable though, or do you think? I remember when he talked on that French podcast, I got the impression that they were more interested in the big events like the Mega now. Like that has been enduro.
Yeah, I mean, I guess anything's marketable
because that's televisable, right? Isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's the Mega Avalanche. It's those kind of races. It's one stage basically. It's just a long downhill race, isn't it?
Oh no, George, it's not. You know that climb has scarred me forever. I'll never recover from that.
Right then, let's close out this section with some team rumours. After winning Mont Saint Anne, Troy signed on for another 2 years with Canyon. Any surprise there?
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
No. Reese on Gamex with outside sponsorship.
Me. I didn't know that until I read that today. It surprised me.
Did I not mention that in the last episode? No, I didn't, did I?
We didn't know it then. No, I didn't. I didn't know that. So.
I've heard about that too. Obviously, Game's been Swiss. Yeah.
Are they on Manitou suspension, do you know? Staying on that? Or are they?
I'm hoping not for Reese because the shock is something.
And yeah, I had Heather Wilson as well, maybe to that team. That would seem to make sense.
Well, she's Scottish now.
Yeah.
So yeah, she has also UCI points, some of them. And I think we might be surprised on seeing bigger names there, because if Reese wants to be wild card, he'd probably get one either way. But like, I reckon it could be big names on our team too. That someone like, maybe, I don't know, some people that don't have a team anymore, like Madison guys, whoever. You know, we don't know.
Card, do you?
That's what I'm just going to ask. Like, if I think he'll get one. Obviously, he's
oh yeah,
good
like
friends.
if he's not in, but he could be in the top.
Joking.
but if it could be in the top 10, like depending on who else he gets on the team, you know, like of the teams, they're pretty tight, you know, in like value.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Do we know yet? I got told Matt Walker was going to Cube. Is that right?
That would be a good move for Cube, because they are not in a good position with like the riders they have with points.
But Matt ended up 30th in the overall, didn't he?
Yeah, but it could be. Isn't he British champion or something?
Yeah.
What did he do at Worlds?
Yeah, he's British champion, so he'll be able to race every race. But how many years?
Worlds, he was around 12 or something.
No, but I mean British champions in British champions 100 points like this. So it's like,
oh yeah.
You get a lot of points by doing other races too, and I reckon he was pretty good at World Champs, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
he was around 12th, 11th. So
yeah, so that's like your World Champs is the most points you can have. So he will give them like a fair amount.
It's a shame it didn't work out for him at Montserrat. It would have been really nice to see him.
Yeah,
it
was great to see him back up there. Yeah,
but it should do him the world of good with his contract talks. If he hadn't already signed something, I mean, he showed everybody that weekend that he's still got it. So
I thought I'd said that on the last one, because I know somebody told me when I was out in Champery that was a rumor. Another rider told me that.
Yeah, I was told. I brought it up on the last pod, but I didn't know if we had confirmation on that or not.
No, not got I haven't got confirmation on much really. FMD to Orbea though, is that confirmed now? Rumours that Martin Mays is giving up enduro and concentrating on downhill full time. I presume he just switched
by who? Confirmed by who?
Is that confirmed yet? That's what I was. Anybody?
If that does happen, I'd be really surprised, and I'll tell you why. It's what I was talking about with short careers and the way the sport's going. Like Martin's obviously super talented, amazing rider, but he ain't young. He's just, I think he's got at least one child. There's so much young talent in that field now. It's surprising that if they're taking like a different male rider or a big male rider, it's surprising it's Martin. I've got no doubts in what he can do, but you'd have thought.
Yeah,
but I think it probably goes with Orbea, no? If they want the brand, they have probably to take Martin.
Right. There we go then.
Otherwise, yeah.
That makes sense.
And he's won a World Cup, so he'll get to choose a number.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's a long time ago, wasn't it? 2018 that was.
Yeah, 18. Yeah.
Feels like yesterday. It's crazy. I'm getting old.
If Kolb leaves Atherton, where are they going to get their points from? Sorry, yeah, when Kolb leaves. Allegedly. Where are they going to get their points from?
They don't have a lot of points
surely
left.
they're going to take somebody else, surely.
But I don't think they want a female.
I was just about to say, they don't have a girl, do they?
I don't think that's happening.
Okay.
Oh, they didn't seem like interested. So
Lloyd is shutting that shit down.
Yeah, I think
just the boys.
He's traumatized. He's traumatized by Rachel, so he's like, no.
They'll probably wheel Rachel out. They'll probably wheel Rachel out at the first.
But Rachel doesn't have any points, so that's like useless to them.
Oh yeah, it's only 1 year, isn't it?
Yeah. So I have 0 points to offer to anyone.
You get a wild card there. You get a wild card.
Yeah, I reckon that's their chance.
This is the thing, though. Like, I haven't heard of any rumors about the Athens. Maybe you guys have, but like, will it get to a point where teams like that looking at what's going on and go, "We're going to get someone for fuck all"? because everybody's going to get desperate. And will teams like that be able to just go, right, we'll grab Charlie Hatton, a teammate here, at the end of November when everybody's desperate and not got a ride? You know what I mean? That
or the other way around.
Imagine being sat.
How's it going to work?
How do you mean the other way around? Someone's going to
too
take.
many
Yeah,
rounds and not enough teams.
or like someone like Marine is like, okay, I've got 1,300 points to offer you.
Yeah, top riders for sure.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
100%.
but even like a girl that's like top 10, like that has like, I don't know, someone that maybe doesn't have a contract. Monika Rasnik out of the overall, she has 700 something, 90 points. And she's like, okay, give me 100 grand. Otherwise, you don't have a team. Maybe not 100 grand, but like there's not much riders left too. So it could work either way.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
imagine being sat in that room deciding the 5 wildcard teams, and they're in there, and it's like, yeah, we've decided on the 5, and then it's like Atherton come in and go, we'll play our joker, we'll bring Rachel, and they go, okay, we'll bump Cube out then. That's Cube gone because Atherton are bringing Rachel, and then somebody else comes in and goes, yeah, we've signed Aaron Gwynn. Bang.
Sam Hill's out of retirement. Frameworks.
Imagine.
Any news on Danny Hart? I heard he'd signed. He'd signed for someone. He's got a team. That's what I've heard.
Was he?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I'm racing.
He went well.
I was
Worlds,
thinking it could be it could be cool to see him back on the brand he won Grand Prix on, but we'll see.
Giant.
Maybe.
I'm racing his winter series. So, and I think I spoke to his dad. I was up there last weekend, and he said he's going to be there. He thinks he'll be there at the race next weekend. So I'll have a chat with Danny.
Weekend, is there?
Yeah, it's a winter series, 3 rounds.
I knew they did the series. No, I'm Portugal, aren't I? But
you are. Yeah.
I would have been tempted.
So we mentioned her earlier, Marine Cabarrou, possibly off Scott. Is that a thing, Emmy? Is she looking for a payday?
Oh yeah, and rightfully so, because she's been underpaid for years.
What's funny is that somebody told me where she was going, and I genuinely can't remember where it was. I'm like,
I won't say exactly.
I know
where I think, but we don't know for sure because it hasn't been. But like, definitely a good option. But definitely she's asking for quite a bit of money, which is rightfully so, because she has so many points to offer to a team. Basically, if you get her on a team, you're guaranteed top 10, maybe top 5 teams, because in 26 you will get the status for multiple years. So if you have a good rider then that's consistent, you can get like I think you can get like the team pass for like 3 years or something. So definitely important to take. Marine is pretty young still, so I reckon it's like a pretty good move to have her. And if Scott doesn't pay more, and it's I'm saying Scott and not the team manager, but the brand. If they don't offer her more money, she will go for sure, because they've been underpaying her for so long now.
I've got a new one to add to the book there, Jack. Emmy stroking her chin means she knows but doesn't want to tell.
Okay.
Are you a poker player or something?
I note these down, Emmy. I note down what you're doing and
what does that say?
No.
Oops.
Okay. I didn't think
Eliana.
I think in Switzerland.
Eliana Hulsbosch to the syndicate. Is that a thing?
Is Nina staying on the syndicate?
Yeah.
So
it's a thing.
Syndicate. Wow.
It's a thing. She'll be a second year junior, won't she? She'll be battling out with Heather. Heather will be second year junior as well. And last one I'm aware of, Benoit. He was testing frames after Ludenville.
Which frame?
He said he was testing multiple frames.
Yeah. He definitely was. Well, if we just talked about someone Marine before. Marine is potentially leaving.
Yeah.
So someone has to figure something out.
He'll fit that bike. They're the same height,
and there's a
aren't they?
new one too, I heard. So yeah.
All right.
I'm pretty sure
Benoit
has but Benoit has definitely a team for next year.
Cool.
Which he should, because he won a race.
Yeah, he deserves it.
Yeah, damn right. He's won 2 in 2 years.
What a guy.
Yeah,
it's that'll be cool to see.
Any other rumours you guys are aware of?
Framework is signing a podium contender female has signed. Done deal. That's my
Vital
contender, George. Who could that be?
On Vital Forum, it's rumoured Anna Newkirk.
Yeah, and Anna's a podium contender.
Yeah.
She had one last year, didn't she? Credit to Anna.
She had a second,
yeah. Poland.
Yeah.
Was it Poland?
Leogang.
Leogang.
Okay.
Yeah, because Leogang's pretty hard to win, isn't it?
would help them to secure. Would help
Yeah.
them to secure that kind of status racer as well. So would make sense.
Yeah,
but
like you say,
they have pretty good rider. They have Angel Suarez. They have Asa. Asa does a lot of points.
Is Angel staying there? Because obviously I heard that thing that he was still under contract with the team he was on in 2023, but
oh really?
Yeah, because that team was going to run through until the end of 2024. He was under contract with them and getting paid, but so Frameworks just got him really cheap, basically for nothing, I think. But obviously that's now over. So if he is staying, they're going to start paying him. If what I heard is true, which I think it was.
Yeah, I've also heard that. What is it? Goodman Santa Cruz, the small French team with Nathan Pompian, they're gonna sign a bunch of fast French riders that don't have team left, and that they might get into the top 15 of teams. Because Thomas Stack might sign with them. They have a good buy. They have a Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And Lisa Bouladou also is without team, so both of them might get in there.
She's going to go somewhere decent. She's riding well, isn't
Goodman
she?
Santa Cruz is pretty decent now. If you have two, Thomas is top 15, top 10 rider, and Pompian is also top 20 rider. And
would they take the Iniguez brothers? Or
I think Matteo, I don't know what he's doing, but they might do only I've heard that Fricks and him might only do content for Commensal. I'm not sure they're gonna race. I don't know about Matteo, but I know Fricks is probably gonna focus on.
Fricks is just a French Bryceland, isn't he?
I don't know about
he's
that.
Just
I don't know him that well.
And he's
very
just
talented,
so stylish, and he just just content guy.
But I think he cares way more about content than Bryceland would, though. Because every time I try to get a video of Fricks at a race and I send it to him, or even tag him into the story, he would never repost it. Because I'm well, not taking any video of you anymore.
Who's that, Fricks or Josh?
Yeah, Fricks. He's just such a perfectionist of content or image, his own image. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I can see him doing a very good job at that. Yeah, very different that way.
Yeah.
So perhaps the biggest talking point at the moment is Felix Griffiths joining the syndicate as a first-year junior. Not had that confirmed. Just seems to be a lot of people talking about it. And it's not necessarily the move, really, that's the surprise. More that his family are rumoured to be paying anywhere between 75k and 100k, I've heard, for him to be on that team. He's the current GB national champion in youth. I can never remember which way around youth and juvenile are. Youth. So he's definitely got potential. He's not winning everything like Matt Walker was or Jordan Williams when they came through. But you never know how riders are going to develop. And for anyone who's unaware, his mum is Gillian Anderson, which is exactly the type of story Warner Brothers Discovery will want if they want to make this into the Formula One of bike racing. And, you know, you can't knock the family for it. Who wouldn't want the best for the kids? 75k to them is probably like 750 quid to you and me, Jack. Would you pay 750 quid for your lad to be on the syndicate?
100%, without a doubt. Like, yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I was talking about it the other day with a few people, and there were two kind of points made. One was the kind of point of how much pressure does it put on the lad, and will that affect him in a negative way, and da-da-da. And then the other point was the point that I much prefer and definitely would do myself, is the chance of a lifetime. Where else would you rather be? 16 years old, having Steve Pete as your mentor, riding with Jackson, Laurie, and whoever else is on that team, on a Santa Cruz with Fox and all the other amazing products they get to use. So why would you not give it a shot? Like, if you're ever going to succeed, it's probably in that environment. So I'm totally behind it. From, as you say, from what the family have decided to do, and whether I agree from the other side in that there are riders his age, certainly in the UK and potentially in Europe, that are doing better than him on the result sheet, and the syndicate are taking a rider based on the investment from a rider and their family rather than pulling in the sponsorship and then taking the fastest rider available to them. I'm not sure how I feel about that. All of my riders are from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and they all, if they pay buy-ins, they all pay the same. Like, they all get treated the same, they all pay the same. Just because one of my clients might be a high-flying engineer and one of my clients might be a window cleaner, it doesn't matter. Simple as that. The boys and the families will be given the same landscape. So, but that doesn't mean what I'm doing is right. It's just how I do it. But to come back and answer your question from the other side, yeah, fucking totally, absolutely, get on it, go after it, and see what you can do.
And it's not. It sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? But when you think it's a full year,
it's fuck all.
It's 10 races or whatever, maybe more, team camps, etc., flying around the world.
And if that creates a career for him.
Yeah, but I don't think the syndicate are going to be making massive profit off that money, are they? Like, it's going to cost them a fair bit to have him on board.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I'd like you, my concerns just for the lad. I've met him a few times. He seems like a lovely lad.
Lovely lad. Lovely family as well.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
I don't know Julian, but I know their dad.
Yeah.
And they're really nice people. Really nice. Yeah. And they work hard. They're really passionate about racing. So I hope it works.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time with him trackside, actually, because he's always looking out for the Brits, especially, but of course his brother. And we always see him in the team bib taking videos, timing. So yeah, he was putting in the work also, maybe for the syndicate, who knows, like, he's pretty passionate and already pretty mature for his age. So yeah, you can only wish him the best and best success with that new chapter for sure.
Cool. Before we end this section, I need to give a shout out to a few people. Firstly, to the lads on the Making Up the Numbers race team. It's been a brilliant season. As anyone who's followed the vlog on YouTube will have seen, we have a proper laugh at every race. And I don't think I've ever been as pumped for racing as I have this season. Two of the team have had outstanding seasons in Grand Vets. We have Mark Wakeman. Wake is 51 years old. He's raced 16 times this season. Honestly, the enthusiasm he has, if you could bottle that. 16 races, 8 wins, 7 seconds and a third. And in Vets, Neil White deserves a massive shout out. We joke that he's got more seconds than a clock. But this year he finally won the Pierce Series, which he's been chasing since 2008. And it came down to the final race run, which he won, which meant he ended up level on points with Nathan Cavalier. They'd both won 3 rounds each. And but Neil won the last race, so he got the title. So sorry, Nathan, because we thought when we were at the finish line, we thought Nathan had won, and we were saying, "Oh, well done to him" and stuff. And then it turns out he hadn't. So apologies for that. Amazing racing though, and check out the vlog. Just search Making Up the Numbers on YouTube if you're interested. And secondly, a big well played to Phil Nicholson, who won our Pink Bike Fantasy Mini League. Right, we'll say goodbye to Jack as he's off to Portugal, and Emmy and myself will be back with Greg after these messages. Greg Minnaar, welcome back to the podcast. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me. Sorry I was late.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Don't worry about that. Where in the world are you at the moment?
I'm in Andorra.
Yeah. Is weather nice, or has it turned?
I mean, it depends what weather you like, right? It's definitely cold. It's sunny today, but it's been a bit miserable, to be honest. But I'm going back to South Africa next week, so I'll get some sunshine around there.
Excellent. So let's start with the elephant in the room then. Around this time last year, I was past probably the greatest team rumour of all time, the fact you were leaving the syndicate and moving to Norco. Are you able to talk about what prompted that move? Because I thought you were in like a 5-year deal with Santa Cruz and that you were going to become an ambassador for them at some point in that period. Is that correct? Or
yeah, that's correct. I mean, it's all in the past now, but it's it was some big changes, but it's been good. I've enjoyed this season with Norco, and I've really I think it's made the transition into retirement a lot smoother and a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing if you wanted to be a team manager, there would have been some conflict down the way. But Steve's doing that job at the syndicate at the minute, so it's kind of good that you've.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of talk, but that's where I was aimed for, and that's not where I was aimed for. I think that's where people thought I was aiming for, but it's never been. And even going into 25, I didn't feel I'm the right person to be a team manager.
Right.
And so we still will continue with Alan Milway as team manager, and that's a decision that I made. But no, that wasn't what I was aiming for. Steve does a great job at what he does, and I feel it takes a different personality to be into that position, and it's not something that I feel is the right fit for me right now.
So, hell of a move for Norco. I think having you involved massively increases the value of the brand in the mountain bike community. What was it about their proposal that kind of attracted you to them?
Maybe a few things. It's I knew Gwen van Lingen really well, and she was obviously over at Norco.
Yeah.
Allowing me to just have the freedom to race and then to build a team, I think was something that was really attractive to me. I feel like downhill racing's changed a lot in the last 5 years, and there's been a lot of change. And I think it's important now to see a team structure that supports the riders, like Specialized, like Commensal do. You know, they have a strong support team. And I felt like I could build something with the experience that I had that could be comparable to big teams like that. And so that's what I wanted to do. And the CEO at Norco and Gwen all kind of aligned with it, which made this transition really easy. So although, like I said earlier, I wasn't getting to be a team manager and I don't feel I'm the right personality for it, I'm able to hire people and put people in place that I feel will do the job properly and have more experience in that job than I do. But from an overall picture, I feel like we try to build a team of that has a culture of performance. And that's exciting to me, and that aligns with everyone. So it's I think that's made this transition really easy because it's exciting for me to build a team from a technical side to work on the bike and advance the bike as much as we can, and then build a team structure that really supports the races and in different ways. So that was my vision, and when it aligns with the brand, then it makes it really easy and really comfortable.
Cool. And what were your first impressions of the bike?
I was pretty impressed. You know, it's every part of that bike is so adjustable. So if you really like a progressive bike, you can ride a really progressive bike. Or if you want it more linear, you can have it more linear. Every part of the bike is independently adjustable. To me, which is a proper race bike. For, you know, I had no idea Norco had anything like this in the pipeline. You know, when I'd seen the bike, I thought it was just just another downhill bike. But once I got to know it, you know, you can adjust head angle and you can adjust chainstay lengths or progression settings. it's got a lot of adjustments. So it makes it really easy to hone in on what you want adjusted. Not like a lot of bikes use different kind of flip chips. So, you might drop the bottom bracket, but now you got a different head angle and a different shock rate. And so you're really trying to compromise. Where on this bike specifically, there's no compromise. You adjust what you need adjusting and you go.
Excellent. It did look like they were taking it seriously when you saw the engineers they'd hired and stuff. This wasn't an off the shelf Taiwanese bike. It looked like they were doing it properly. You've famously always been full 29, and I believe you had the option to run full 29, but you've been converted to the mullet. Was that based on timings in testing? What was the?
Yeah, it was. So, and not necessarily timings in testing, but timing. We've got a very technical and professional approach to adjusting things. And, when we did some testing on the 29, we didn't really notice a lot of difference between the 29 and mixed wheel bike. And so we'd rather spend that time elsewhere on suspension development rather than pushing down that route where we're not seeing big gains.
Yeah.
And so that's the decision we made. And so it was timing more than time.
Cool.
I have a question about that though. How much of the testing is blind testing compared to like not blind testing?
What do you mean blind testing?
In the sense of like, do you know what kind of adjustments have been made, or do you not know?
Yeah, I mean, I feel that I feel it's the rider needs to know what's been adjusted. My feeling is you're trying to work together to build the fastest bike. Maybe not all riders can have a feel or a sense of feel. But for me, it's a waste of time to be blind tested. We've just wasted a few runs if you're trying to test me on what I know compared to trying to make the bike faster. I could be working elsewhere. But, if you're really working on a part of the bike, it takes a lot of concentration to really feel the difference and to know where it's coming from or what difference it's making elsewhere. And also downhill track is not that simple. It's you've got each track's got a variance of terrain, roughness, grip, and so whenever you ride in, you're trying to get the most out of each section of track. And sometimes I find like in a test session, riders or engineers will go, well, we know the track's rough, and then you go, well, it's actually that section I'm fine on. It's not that section that I'm worried about. It's something else. And so, to me, a rider's got the best feel for the overall terrain and feel for the overall speed of the bike. So I don't necessarily like blind testing. I find it's a waste of time.
I reckon this is so interesting because you have the most experience out of every rider that's currently like on the scene. And I've seen like riders with less experience. Sometimes blind testing could be like a learning curve for them to really like sharpen up the senses of what they're actually feeling. But for you, it's a whole different game because obviously you've done like 20 plus years of testing. So you might not need blind testing as much as others. So that's why I've asked that.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's worth exploring different ways of bike setup and letting like a data-driven feel be explored. But generally, if we want to test something, I like to know. I find it, when you, especially in this short season that we've had going onto a new bike, it's important that each test session is really productive. Because of a bike's got so much adjustment and change, it's important that you nail it straight away and you work together to build this fastest bike.
Thanks for that. Moving on to the season then, looking back on 2024. First round for William, you qualified 9th, so you knew you had a pace. And for William is obviously a place that's been good to you. But then 29th in semis and finals, and you had crashes as well. One we saw on camera. And you separated your shoulder as well when, if I'm correct, Luca got injured there. Gracie was still coming back from like a concussion, so she didn't qualify. So it was a pretty rough weekend for the team. Tell us a bit about that.
Whoa, yeah, Flip. We had a horrific start to the season. And it was exciting. We had this new team, new track, new look. And first of all, Lucas has this crash and breaks his leg horribly, and probably on part of Fort William that you'd least expect it, and it's just the awkward landing on the face of a jump. And anyway, he gets really badly hurt. And so like, yeah, it did change things going to Fort William, and I felt pretty good. I felt like we had done the right testing going in, but I just lost the back end down these like rocky steps and had this massive crash. And I got up and thought, wow, let's just keep going. It's like, we have to keep going. And that's the mentality I've always had. It's possibly never really worked well, but keep racing. And as I came off that drop, my shoulder just gave in, and I had another big slam. And then I thought, okay, this is enough now. I need to just cruise. But that, separating the shoulders is a tough one, because it kind of works, but there's a lot of pain, and it's not very strong. And I try to ride through it, and because there's no better place to test a bike than on a World Cup track. The World Cup tracks are different to anything else you ride. So I felt it was important that if we're going to keep developing the bike, that I try and get back to Poland to race, even though I'm not going to be fit enough and strong enough. But I thought it was important that we made some adjustments to the swing arm, which was made in a couple of days, and sent out to Poland for me to continue to try and ride and test. And then, it was kind of a tough season for that. I was helping a friend of mine, Betty Bell, move a couch last week, and my shoulder, like, I was up the staircase carrying this couch, and my shoulder just couldn't handle it. I mean, I felt like such a puzzler. It's just like, there's this poor guy trying to hold this couch up, and my shoulder, I'm complaining about my shoulder, trying to, walk through the house. So I think I tried to push through the season and feel as if everything was good, but I think my shoulder might have been a bit worse than it was. And I definitely felt it in Montanan, like Montanan's a long track, and my shoulder was hurting, and it like muscularly in a different way to what it ever has before. So I was obviously compensating a lot. But I felt like it was going to be my last season, and I needed to push through and make sure that I was at every race and trying to ride as hard as I can.
So coming back to Fort William specifically, obviously you have an amazing history with that place. Quick question. Do you prefer the new smoothed out Fort William to the old rough one? Obviously we've seen all of different versions of it.
Yeah, I don't think they ever are smooth by race run. I find like you get there and they've like manicured it and it looks beautiful. But give it like a few runs down and it's back to rough Fort William. It still feels just as hard, no matter what, how they manicured it. But yeah, it's this year they had some sections were generally like quite a lot smoother than before, but then some sections that were a hell of a lot rougher than before. So Fort William's it's just a great iconic race. It's sad that we're not going to go there next year.
You talk a lot about your shoulder injury. How did you like get back on the bike and to race Poland in 2 weeks? Like, is this something you've done to be back in 2 weeks? Because
yeah, so I did a ton of paperwork. My gosh, you can get like an injection into the shoulder which will help numb the pain. So it's not performance enhancing, but you need a TUE to take the medication. And so, between the federations and people in Andorra trying to find a doctor to administrate it, to get the right dosages and everything else, it was like paperwork coming through my ears. But that definitely did help the pain a little bit. But yeah, probably not, again, it's one of those things where you want to push through. It's not quite right, but you still can get a feel on the bike, on the track, and make adjustments and keep progressing. So I thought it was important, but I definitely wasn't confident and at my best from Poland.
Yeah. So moving to Leogang and Val d'Isère, obviously now that you talked about the impact of the injury, it explains a bit that the weekend didn't really go as well as we thought there was gonna. But you made finals in Val d'Isère nevertheless on probably the roughest track of the year. And Gracie also got injured there.
Gracie got injured in Leogang, and that was a sad one.
Yeah.
She had started to get
Mm.
some confidence going. And, one of the reasons I pulled Alan Milway in was he works so well with women. And he was with Rachel through all Rachel's success. And so I thought there'd be no better person but to bring in someone like Alan to be next to Gracie, to support Gracie. And it really was working well. And then she punched the wall on the way down Leo Gang and broke a metacarpal in her hand. So we're down to one. We're down to Kirk McDowell. So
well, I guess the few weeks off before Leger helped you to get stronger, with your shoulder and everything. And sometimes when it's inflamed, it helps to have a little bit of time off.
Yeah.
And yeah, Leger, you qualified 45th and then 30th place into final.
Cutting it
and
fine.
then boom. First ride and now the drop. Using every bit of experience you have in you to also do that low line in the steep bit that almost nobody could get through. Have you practiced that line before, or was it just like a spontaneous decision when you came back?
So to go back a bit, Val di Sole made it to the finals. Making the finals has been really challenging, and you got 10 guys that are protected, and then you've got like 40th place or 30th to 60 who know they're going to be on the border, so they're just going to go all in anyway. And then you've got this 11 to 30 who are like need to ride a secure, safe run to just be in, And you've seen like guys like Benoit Coulage as well. He's also been kind of fine going into that final, but it's the way we had to ride. But going into Val di Sole, we made a big change on the bike going into the final day. And the reason is we had another day to test, and now this was race day. And so I felt like I wasn't in a great place. I felt like I could get more out of the bike. And so I made the decision to change the whole bike setup and then go into race day. And it worked really well, but it took my practice runs were setting up the bike and then raced on this different setup. So we carried that momentum over to Leger. Obviously, the qualifying rounds, tough again going through, but I felt really good in training, and my time in sections wasn't too bad, but I missed a few lines. I was focusing so much on the bike that I was missing track speed. And Leger to me is one of these tracks where it's so fast now through those woods. It's incredibly fast. And once it rained, I actually felt more comfortable that it was like things are going to slow down a little bit. But it was a big team effort, that podium. I'd love to take it all and say it was all my experience, but Alan radioed up to Tom and said to Tom, Greg needs to change his line. I know he hasn't tried it yet. And I hadn't had a look at the line. I didn't even know where I was going in the line. But he just said, everyone has crashed so far. You're going to have to just aim for this. There's a little catch, just go for it and then make it down. And that's exactly what we did. So it worked really well. Great team effort. And managed to squeeze out a podium.
Third place. So you back in the box. And I guess that must have felt really good after a really, really kind of challenging beginning of the season for you and the team.
Yeah, I think, at 42 years old to be on any podium is a blessing. And it was a tough one. It was, it was a hard condition race where conditions change a lot. We had like the rain that was kind of still hard pack and glossy to then visibility went bad to then like a really sloppy track. So it changed a lot through the race run. But I was pretty happy with that. It's I wanted to finish the season off competitive and be as competitive as I could. And so podium shows that it wasn't like I wasn't totally out of the back. It was an okay season.
On to Andorra for your 28th World Championships.
Yeah.
Let's talk about gapping off that bridge. Still showing the kids how it's done. How long had you been eyeing that one up for?
Oh no, it's I was doing it in practice. It wasn't too bad. The problem was the landing was just really hard. And but Andorra was, it's when we announced it was going to be my last season. I had a whole lot of friends come in to watch, and it's my new home. And I was a bit disappointed with 23rd, and I felt like I wanted more. I felt like I could have done well, but when you're 3 seconds off the leader and you're in 23rd, it just shows how close it was.
Yeah.
But that was also just I had a really big crash just before the final run, and I was so lucky because I managed to the front wheel drifted off just offline slightly and then grabbed and spike spat me over the bars, and I like landed on the backside of this big square rock. It was probably like, half a meter high rock, and I managed to get on the backside. If I was like a meter shorter, I would have gone head first into this rock. And I was just super lucky. I didn't really get hurt, but it definitely shook me up. So when I got into that race run, it was right at the top of the track. I really wanted to just remain calm and just get through this section and then open it up. And as I opened it up, I got a little excited, and the front wheel kind of washed and then gripped, and then I got spat to the opposite side of the track, and I lost all my momentum across the big road gap down, and it ruined my rhythm for the run. But I had to go for it. I knew if I wanted to win it, I had to like step it up, and then that kind of messed it up. But so I was disappointed. But 23rd, I think 3.5 seconds off. It's incredible how many rides we fit into that top 20 now.
It is insane.
It's a small time.
I don't know if you'll remember this, but I do actually kind of partly take responsibility for you not winning another Worlds, because we did that show in 2022 with you and Miriam the week before Worlds in Val di Sole, and you both won. And I remember we chatted and we said we were going to do that show again the week before the next Worlds, but each time either, I think has Miriam been injured both times, or is she coming back or whatever?
Yeah.
We just couldn't get it right for 23 and 24. Are you superstitious about anything like that?
Yeah, but maybe we should try and come back for 25. You say you're not superstitious, but you always do have a race pair of gloves, race goggle, or something. There's always something you kind of do.
It wasn't to be for you this time around, but you got to present your former teammate Loris Vergier with his rainbow jersey. How special was that for you?
Yeah, that kind of made my weekend. That was really cool, and it's he's just an incredible rider who's managed to now put it all together in that final run on a track where everything was so tight. So yeah, it was incredible to watch. But a great race, and another great world championship.
On to Ludenville, 15th in the mud. But I just want to ask you about Kurt McDowell. You mentioned him before. He is the engineer and test guy for Norco, and he's finishing 25th at a World Cup after retiring, I suppose, from World Cups in 2020. I know he's still been doing the North American rounds, but not a kind of permanent fixture. How important is it to have someone who can go that fast, kind of working on the bike with you?
Well, yeah, very important. And the way it came up was, Kirk's an engineer at Norco, and he has been for a couple of years, and he hadn't really given racing an opportunity. And 23, he did really well in Montanan. And so Norco said to him, well, why don't you can't go through life going, what if you're a racer? You hadn't really given it a good shot. And so why don't you take a year off and go and race and see how you go? And so, really cool opportunity for him. And Matt, well, it definitely pays having a fast test rider and an engineer who works in house, so they can ride so fast. So, incredible guy. He had a great season and a great ending to the season as well. Yeah,
it's cool. So, Mont Saint Anne, your final World Cup.
Yeah,
you talking to Gracie about how you pioneered Simba's leap. That was just so cool. You finished 19th, and as I said to you on email, that with more races going forward, I imagine one day somebody will win more World Cups than you. But how you've sustained your position at the top, winning world champs at 40, getting on the podium this season and finishing in the top 20 in the overall at 42 years of age, I don't think we'll ever see that again. Just incredible. Are you?
Oh, thank you.
Are you?
But I think you're right. We're going to see a lot more racing in the future and a lot more opportunity to win. So I think that's what we kind of missed through some of our seasons in the past where we went down to 5 World Cups. I mean, once you get momentum in a season or you go and you kind of your season's done. Whereas now you go to 10 races, you can gain momentum or you have the opportunity to come back through a season. So yeah, I think we'll see that. But it was an interesting one, talking to Gracie about some of the gaps I pioneered, which is I mean, whatever. I mean, Gracie's mom came to a race and I was just saying, Gracie, how old's your mom? And she goes, oh, she's 40. I was like, geez, your mom's younger than me. And I was like, that was so funny. But yeah, it's been great riding with Gracie and watching her just have, finish off on such a good season, 4th in the world champs, 2nd in Montanare. That's exciting. And that's what excited me about coming to Norco and be able to build a team where riders can excel.
Tell us about the party after Mont Saint Anne.
Oh, there's been a couple.
Yeah,
it was great. It's always great. And Norco put on a great event for me. I was very thankful for the efforts that went into that. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Cool. And are you happy with it? How it's all finished? Is it?
Yeah, I am. I was chatting to my wife and to the teammates, and she was going, "Oh, you're not emotional," and I was like, "No, I'm excited. Like I'm so pumped for 25.
Yeah.
I've got some new development on the bike that the guys are working on. I've got different ways in which we can support the riders from trackside. So I'm really excited to have this team and to let the riders be the best they can be. And everything that I wished I'd had in racing, and I felt like this is what I want to give to the team. So it's really exciting. And Kathy was getting quite emotional. Oh, it's your last world champs. It's your last world race. And I was like, well, I'm still going to be around. I'm not going anywhere. But this time around, I can enjoy racing. For the last 20 something years, I'm the one under the pressure having to get to the start line and put together a run. Now I can enjoy this incredible sport we all love. It's great being on the sideline and watching. And I've only watched maybe 2 or 3 World Cups on the sideline, possibly only 2 in my whole career. I mean, I broke my arm one year, and that was the only year that I got to watch, I think, 2 World Cups. And so it's an incredible sport to watch, and I love it. So I'm going to be enjoying it on the sideline rather than just enjoying the Sunday night after the race.
Excellent. Cool. Right. Well, we'll be back with Greg's retirement 20 questions after these messages.
All right, Greg. First question to you. Favorite World Cup track?
Favorite World Cup track? Wow. It's the one I've been asked, I don't know, a billion times, but any World Cup track is a great track. I mean, you can go and ride anywhere in the world and nowhere would be as well prepared and groomed as a World Cup track. You might not like sections or whatever, but they are pretty cool. All of them are good.
But if you have to pick one? Come on, we all have a favorite.
Yeah, you can go to Fort William for the atmosphere. You can go to Montanare because of the high speed. Lenzerheide because you just drop in an elevation the whole way down. I didn't really have one particular one that was a favorite, to be honest.
Do you have a least favorite one, though?
A least favorite? We raced in Calgary one year. I think it was 2005 or 4 or something, and that barely was a downhill. So I'd probably tick that as my least favorite World Cup downhill.
What was the one Martin Mayers won? That didn't look like it was very much fun.
La Bresse.
La Bresse. Yeah. It didn't look, from it, I never went, but on TV, it looked flat at the bottom. I just remember it being flat and muddy and wet.
La Bresse, we had a few different tracks.
Yeah. We had a few. That was 2018 one when Martin Mayes won. That was the one with the grassy corner at the end.
Yeah. I remember that. That was my first race back from a broken arm. I can't actually remember the bottom.
Yeah, I didn't race that, but yeah, it was a little bit awkward, but probably not as awkward as the 90s Calgary flat penalty tracks, I would reckon.
Some famous pictures rolling around the internet from Calgary.
I never seen anything like it, so probably research it. It'll be great fun. The third question: your greatest rival.
Greatest rival, I've had a few. And so we can go back to like Nicholas Vulio, Steve Pete, G. Atherton, Sam Hill, Aaron Gwynn, Luke Bruni. Yeah. That's the one.
It's like a who's who.
It's like, which one kind of made things like really hard? Samuel was really hard to beat because he could just turn it up. Then when Aaron came along, it was like the change of pace. Before we used to like attack a technical section and then rest up on the traverse across and then attack the next section. And Aaron brought this pace, which was just hot from start to finish. So each one has brought a different element of racing that's been really hard to beat.
So who is your best mate on the World Cup circuit?
I've got a few PDs up there. It's something which I really like of the World Cup circuit is there's not many people you're not friends with. So, from Elliot Jackson to PD to Luke Bruni, Loris. I've got a lot of good friends in the World Cup.
Just ask, obviously you said Petey was one of your biggest rivals and then you two came together on the syndicate. How was that at the start? Was it awkward at the start or were you guys mates even though you were rivals?
Really good. And it's what happened in the syndicate when we were together on it was we all worked together to all help each other out. And that elevated it, the three of us. Ratboy was still a junior, so he was cleaning up there. Nathan, myself, and Steve were an elite, and there were three of us on the podium in Fort William, and and a lot of time there were two of us. It was a great season, and it just shows when the riders can work together. Downhill's a different sport. You can know everyone's line and pace and everything about it, but if you can't put it together in that final run, your position might elevate a little bit from help from your teammate, but you're not going to beat your teammate. If he can put it together and the other one didn't, it's what it boils down to. But I find that really important in a team in downhill is that if the riders learn to work together, they can really elevate the team. But you're not really going to interfere with each other's results.
Yeah. What would you say your biggest strength is?
I feel like my biggest strength is probably my biggest weakness. I was quite insecure as a rider, and I always felt like I never really had the skill the other riders had. And when I'd see riders pass me, I'd be like, "Wow, these guys there's no ways I can go that quick." But that insecurity made me really like dig deep into trying to like find more time, and I'd really like zone in on trying to figure out if I can squeeze more out of the bike. More out of the track, and I found that was probably my biggest strength.
And your greatest achievement?
Winning in Val d'Isole, the World Championship
at 40.
At 40, at 40. It's like a month before my 40th birthday.
It's just insane. I think I might know this one actually. Biggest regret.
Rick, why do you know it?
I was watching something. I like, obviously when someone's coming on the show, I do some background, and I was watching something, and I think I saw this question, and you said it was something about dislocating your shoulder in your early 20s and not getting it repaired. Because I think obviously you had a strong start in elite, and then you had a period where it dipped, and then you obviously came back in your 30s and 40s.
So that probably was my biggest regret. But the problem was back then there was no surgical way to fix a dislocating shoulder, and everyone had gone and had surgery, had a shoulder that was worse. It was only until a friend of mine, Garrett Swanepoel, who raced motocross in the US, got his shoulder fixed, that I now had found a doctor that could do the procedure where there was a success. And he came back to racing and had a great season in the US, and that was in Fort William when I dislocated it for the final time at the World Championships, and I finished fourth, but my shoulder dislocated halfway through the run and had broken the scapula. I'd flipped over the bars, and I was so pissed off because I didn't make the podium. and I was fourth by like not even a second, and then I had to go for go get my shoulder put back in hospital, and that was the end of my shoulder. It was totally messed, dislocated posterior, anterior, broken scapula, and that's when I transitioned from Honda to join Rob on the syndicate. So it was like my new lease on life, new shoulder, new team, and a person that believed that I could come back with this shoulder.
Yeah, cool. Your favorite memory, if you can only pick one.
There's a couple of favorites that are quite blurry, but pretty good as well. Oh man, it's been incredible. I mean, to be in the sport for so long, there's so many memories. I mean, this is a bit spontaneous to try and think of them. I've got 25 years of memories to go back, and I remember winning my first World Cup at 19, and winning the overall. That was a great memory. Having my parents come and watch, that was really special. And probably beating Nicholas Vulia at that race was one of my probably something that I've kind of not really spoken a lot about because it happened so long ago. But that was when you're a 19-year-old and racing against arguably one of the greatest riders we've ever had. And it's head-to-head in Mont-Saint-Anne, and I remember seeing him in the morning in the rock garden, which is pretty long and quite a gnarly section. And I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" And he just ignored me, and he just passed. He's just really heating up, and I had to beat him in the qualifier and the final because I was 28 points behind him going into Mont-Saint-Anne. And I didn't win on the day. Chris Kavarik won on the day. I was second, but Nico was third in the final. So I had this rock gap that I was the only one who did it. The track kind of did a big S-bend around this big rock, and I managed to like cut across these roots and get onto the top of this rock and just go straight off the other side. So that was the differentiator between winning the World Cup or not.
Cool.
Nice. Your best race run that you can remember?
Best race run, we were talking about Le Bresse. And I won once in Le Bresse, and I remember that race run was quite hectic. It had rained, it was wet, and I think I'd qualified maybe 6th or 7th, and not a great qualifier. Quite a bit off the pace, and I knew I had to really step it up in that final. And I managed to win. It was Fabien Barel's last race. I think Fabien was second. He had put in quite a good run, but I really remember like stepping it up to win that race.
Nice. Best race that you've seen from another rider?
I mean, it'd be hard to ignore Anne-Marie's performance this year in Leger and in Val di Sole. Those two have to stand out. I'm sure there's going to be more if you gave me a bit more time to think, and I probably should have read your questions as well. But those two runs come to mind straight away.
Which one of the two would you pick?
Val di Sole.
Yeah,
Val di Sole was incredible.
Yeah. Biggest crash?
Biggest crash. This year Fort William were two of the biggest. And they were like one after the other. I had a big crash. It was in San Romolo. Yeah, exactly. And you come down this like fast, long straight, and you got like a little left and then right down some stairs. And on the left, the front like hooked and something slipped, and my leg kind of swung over the right side of my left leg swung over the right side of the bike, and my leg hit the tree and then spun me around. So I went off the right and off these two drops, flipping and spinning, and oh man, I was a mess. And we were testing, so there's no one around. And like I'm hurt, I'm winded, I feel like I'm broken in half. And I've got to still try and get down to the bottom of the track. And so I think I've got like a little sneak to the road. So I take this path that goes to nowhere. And I'm like, oh, and I had to push. I was like groaning and whimpering up to the trail, and then I had to try and ride down to the bottom. But that was absolutely hard. That was just before Croatia. It was horrible.
Breaking Sanremo, eh? That's one hell of a test track.
Yeah, you don't want to crash anywhere there.
No.
Well, like two tracks, San Remo and Fort William, two tracks you just don't want to crash on.
You don't. So we talked about your shoulder injury, multiple years. What was your worst injury, you think?
Well, in 22, I broke my neck. I fractured the C2, C5, C6. And although that was bad, I don't think it was the worst I had. I was very lucky. Everything was stable and just, I still battle a little bit with sensitivity through my body. My skin's a bit sensitive, but other than that, I was very lucky. I had a compartment syndrome in about 2010 or 2011. I think it was like November. No, it was November, because I remember trying to get out of hospital because I wanted to go celebrate my birthday. So that was probably one accident that I didn't really realize how severe it was until a guy came into hospital next to me, and he had lost his leg from the same injury. And that just, I had to have a fasciotomy down to release the compartment syndrome down my left quad. So I've got like a lot of nerve damage through the back of my leg. So I don't have a very strong hamstring and on my left leg. And so that was something that kind of probably has hindered me more than I realized. But yeah, very lucky to not lose a leg there.
Proper grim, that. Oh.
Yeah, would have been a career ender for sure.
I'd say so. Biggest feature? Well, has there been a line or a feature that psyched you out?
That psyched me out? There must have been. There had to have been. And what's weird is I probably got psyched out in my earlier part of my career. And I feel like as we got better, as the bikes grew and I started to fit on the bikes a bit better, I felt more comfortable, more confident.
Yeah.
But there must have been something. Oh, I went to hardline. I mean, that psyched me out completely. I just recovered from a broken arm. I mean, that was enough. I didn't need to do that. I was psyched out.
You were commentating, weren't you, with Rob?
I was, yeah. Two very tough experiences. Commentating with like such a great commentator, and then trying to ride down that track after breaking your arm early in the season. It wasn't a way I wanted to spend my off season.
Yeah. This is a difficult one. This favorite bike.
Favorite bike. It is a difficult one. I've got a few favorite bikes, but that Honda was something special. That has to be my favorite bike.
Yeah, I'd say so. There is always there's a V10 that you had for World Champs that was the yellow color of the South African flag. I don't know if you remember that one.
With the eyes.
Yes, I think so. That is
that was a pretty bike.
That was that. When I think about bikes, that always springs to mind as being a favorite color of a bike, but obviously it doesn't have quite the specialness of the Honda.
No, you're right. No, there's something. I mean, even I pulled that Honda off the wall probably about a year ago now, and it's still so futuristic looking. It's like we still haven't reached it yet, but it's just a special bike there.
What's your favorite thing about racing?
Being able to either push the limits more than you would expect. So, for instance, like I never wanted to know race time, because I've learned over the time that sometimes you can push yourself a bit further than what you think can happen. So by only knowing a race time or other people's race time can only just hinder you excelling a bit more. And that is so special in racing. Like I was talking about Le Brest, when I really had to like step it up in that final, and you put it all together and it all works out. That's an incredible feeling.
And your least favorite thing about racing?
When you feel you've put together a run, you're totally off the back.
Oh my God.
I was actually chatting to my friends, one of the organizers here in Andorra, and I said in 2003 I came to a Maxis Cup here in Andorra, and I remember the track was long. It was like a 12-minute track or something, and I put together what I thought was an incredible run. and I ended up 12th or something, like just horrific. So I was like, this is, I don't know, I must have missed something, because there's no ways that I finished 12th. So I got the team to drop me back at the top of the hill, and I walked the track after the race to make sure that I hadn't missed the line, um, like some inside line or something I got back in the dark, and I hadn't missed anything. But yeah, that was a disappointing race.
Favorite curse word?
When I'm racing, oh, it's
I
just
don't know.
oh,
You can say a South African
this
one.
has to
so
be
you
an
can...
F-bomb, like a just solid F-bomb.
So some of these questions, I don't know if you remember a program called Inside the Actors Studio. I don't know if you ever saw it. Have you ever seen that?
It was quite an old, yeah.
It's in like a theater in Los Angeles, and they had all, De Niro and Pacino and all those kind of people on. And this guy called James, I think it was a long time ago. I think he's died now, but that was one of the questions. That these 20 questions were kind of based on that, and that was one of the questions' favorite curse word. So that's where that comes from.
Thing you'll miss the most?
From what? I'm not going to miss anything.
It's just that's a good answer. That's what I said as well when I was asked these questions.
Yeah, for sure. There'll be elements of racing I'm going to miss, like pushing yourself to that point where you can exceed something that you didn't think was possible. Yeah, for sure I'll miss it, but I think I've had a good run. I'm very blessed and very lucky.
Is there anything you won't miss? Because there's a lot of things I was really gladly leaving behind me when I retired.
I think that the hardest thing for me, racing is really easy and great, and I love every bit about racing. But the training's hard, and you do like a double session. You go out and you do like some intervals or whatever in the morning. You do gym in the afternoon, and you're knackered, and your mates are going out, and you're like, oh, I'm a bit tired, I might stay in. And then you try and force yourself, you go out, and then the next day's a bit harder, and it's whatever. It's like wherever I felt like I was going, like I was either going to be tired or I needed to take a bike or some kind of training with me. So I never really took a break or a holiday or anything, because I felt like it was more stressful going away than to just have a bike and a gym around where I was. So shame, my wife needs a holiday, she needs a honeymoon, and I think that's high on the priority list, but we'll get there maybe next year. We've got everything sorted with the team going into 25.
So the last question, we talked about this a little bit already, but maybe on the longer term, what does the future look like for Greg Minnaar?
What does the future look like? I don't know. The immediate future is directing this race team and trying to, I feel like there's a few brands that have pushed really hard on technology on the bikes, and I feel like I wouldn't say trying to catch up, but we're trying to come out to something better. And I think we've got a few things that hopefully we'll have ready by the season that will maybe be better. We sort of test and stuff, and then just working on the working with the riders and trying to do different things to support a rider, to give them more confidence and knowledge about their run and more data on their run and track. So to work in the team is my immediate future. I don't know past a couple of years, but I really love the bike industry. And I'm involved in it in many different ways, from retail to distribution to developing product. And I love it. I love every part of it. And so I can't see myself leaving the bike industry to go anywhere else. I just feel like it's a great community, and I enjoy everything about bikes.
What a great answer. So obviously you're retiring just as the sport goes through the biggest change it's probably ever been through.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but big picture, do you think it's moving in the right direction?
Well, it's really hard to say. We've got limited knowledge to know where it's going to go. We know the next 2-3 years, and I don't know. So I'm hoping that it's moving in the right direction. I think, we have to be positive and move with it and see where it goes. I think we've got a solid enough base that we can always come back to it and continue where we were. I don't think we're going to lose the sport.
Yeah.
But it's going to definitely be a bit tricky and different going into the next couple of years. And if from a team perspective, it's changed a lot. Setting up the team, rider selection, point structures, and all these different things you have to take into consideration now. But also then from a rider's side, it's changed a lot. If I look back 5-10 years ago, I could say that I was going to be a top 3, top 5 rider, or a rider could be a top 10 rider or a top 15, and you can almost sell this position as guaranteed. But if you look at the racing this season, it's so fast and so close. There's not one rider that can say that they're consistently going to be a top 3 rider. It's very hard to say. I mean, one weekend they're in, the next weekend they're not even in the final. So it creates I think from a rider's side, it's going to be quite hard going forward. It's not an easy sell to a sponsor say, yeah, you can win a race, but you can also not qualify. And without the protection, it makes it even. I think it will slow the racing down, and I think it was a good direction to go. But it also creates there's a bit of uncertainty, and uncertainty is not good. So anyway, I think it's we have to move with it and see where it goes. But I'm hopeful that it's in the right direction, but it's hard to say with limited knowledge.
And if there was one change that's happened over the last couple of years or is happening right now that you could undo, what would it be? So I've written some down, like 3 rider podiums, shortening the tracks, making the tracks less technical, any of those kind of things.
I mean, the 5 rider podium was great. It was great for our sport. Whether or not it was received well elsewhere, maybe people don't get it. I understand that. I think to get into the clothing, I think that was one of the rule changes that I thought was really positive for the sport. So you are actually asking which one I would change. So I'm going on which ones are great, but I think maybe the qualifying was made it really hard, but it was a good compromise to let riders get the chances to go in. It's really hard to say which one I would change and which one I didn't really like. 'Cause as a racer, you got to accept it and you've got to like it.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset you have to be in. So if you weren't, you're going to be off the back anyway. So I haven't really given too much thought.
Well, look, congratulations on an amazing career. It's been a privilege to watch, and we look forward to seeing what you can do with Norco. Any insights you can give us there on how Norco will be lining up for next season?
Yeah, I could give you a bit. I think that the strategy for us is to try and split we're going to expand to more riders, but then to divide our team into the different practices, and try and have an even split both ways. That way we can elevate our mechanical assistance to the riders and give them a better service from a technical perspective, as well as then increase the data they can bring in from their own practice. And so to me, that makes the most sense. And it gives us a good spread going into 27 when, so I think, I feel like we've got some big goals and as a team, but I think it's important as a team to have these big goals and to aim higher. And I don't think they're unachievable. I think we will achieve them.
Cool. And finally, from me, I'd just like to say thank you, because when I dropped you a note last year to say I'd found out about the move to Norco, we chatted briefly, and I don't think you were best pleased because that it got out. And I think I said something along the lines of, if I run in with it, will it kill the deal? Because if it will, I'll pull it. And you said you could have quite easily said yes, it will kill the deal, but you didn't. And I just want to say thank you for being straight with me and allowing us to break what was undoubtedly the biggest mountain bike story of last year. So thank you for that.
No, thanks, George. Thanks, Emily. And sorry again, I was out walking the dog, but I hope we made up. Sorry to keep you waiting.
We have done. Right, that's all we've got time for with this episode. Big thanks to the amazing sponsors of the show: Hope Technology, G.O.A.T Suspension, Revolution Bike Park, Ride Southern Spain, Schwalbe, and SingleTrackWorld.com. If you're enjoying the podcast, I'm sure you know what to do by now. Please subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And if you've got a sec, please drop us a review. Alternatively, please give us a follow on Instagram at Making Up the Numbers Racing or Facebook.com/Making Up the Numbers. We'll be back in a few weeks, hopefully with Amory if we can get that one lined up.